Hey, this is a game asset spec AKM model I finished in 11 hours. This time lapse is going to be edited, mainly because it's less epileptic. I'll talk about what I'm working on and why per scene. Here it comes. I'm going to start by forming the general shape in front of my reference, angles included. I've just decided that I want to mirror this. I'm going to focus on working from top to bottom while working my way towards the handguard. Now I want to connect all these pieces together. You're going to see me prepare my vertices to be like outlines for the next shapes. It just sort of makes the steps easier. Now we're at the handguard. I won't have to worry about building it from a cube again. That's because I'm reusing my shapes, just like I am here, copying and pasting and bridging. I'll be using this part in particular for the barrel. Since the handguards are already nearly similar, I can just clone one. Going to keep my vertices straight. It's healthy for the UV. Remember to like the video just like we like our work. We're moving from making a general shape into our gun sight details. I only like a small amount of general shapes before I start detailing things close to it. It keeps the familiarity of what I just finished nearby. It's also an instinct of mine to detail this part first. The sights are what the player will see most. I mean, they're called sights, aren't they? This sight leaf is mirrored individually. It's easier to boolean it than just build the shape inside the gun. And here I'm triangulating and turning them back into quads after my boolean. It definitely beats trying to put my vertices back together manually. Now we're making probably something amongst the most popular sight in the world, AK gun sights. The strange thing is, I've seen so many different widths on these things. I wonder if it's part of the design or if it's just an oversight. I'm going to keep it just enough so the front sight has some visual room. Now I'm going to use the knife tool to make way for my ejector. It's a little out of sync here, but since I already have the cuts, I'm not too worried. Design tip: guns aren't just flat things on the side. There are several parts clicked together, just like the top half of this receiver I'm making. I'm going to express that by giving it a concave part in its mesh. After that, we're going to clean up the angles because I worked on my free camera. I'm going to measure it by snapping my vertices to other vertices in an axis. Here you're just seeing general cleanup. Now we're moving on to another detail of the AKM based on my reference plane. I'm going to optimize the vertices together with already existing faces. I'm going to give the surface a bit of a height difference. Not only does it look detailed on close inspection, it's also going to be good for lighting. Maybe some ambient occlusion too. And I did it again. I'm working my mesh from one part to another. So I went from front receiver to center to back, so I'm organized on where I'm working. It's like a path. Some people say if you're bored of one thing, work on another part. That's true, just remember where you left off. I'm smoothing the back of the receiver here and finishing that part up. This part is going to be the split between the receiver and stock, so I'm mentally marking it here. Now I'm going to move on to the stock because it needs to be done to progress. In these scattered parts, I'm optimizing the mesh to have less vertices. The less vertices for a game asset, the better. I'm going to add another part of the gun. It's one of those bits where if you don't have it, it looks somewhat uncanny. Much like some parts already, I'm going to boolean this later. I'm going to do the same for this part. Just slide you in there and prepare for a circle. Loop tools, circle, really useful. Don't hand make your circles. Boolean first, then extrude the shape. It keeps the faces from overlapping or going through each other. Going to finish up the other part. I'm going to add more verts here. I might be offering more vertices to sacrifice. After all, it's going to look good for the specular maps in the end. Halfway there. We're going to make the grip as a separate object first. So I'm blocking up my shape using my reference. I'm going to bevel it all later. Later as in right now. Time to fix some more vertices. I felt like I missed some fine details here, so I went to add that. Trigger guard time. Here I'm just expanding the faces. I'm going to hit Alt-E to extrude from where the faces are angled. I'm still working close to the areas that I just finished. I kinda think it keeps the consistency up. I made the mag ejector with the same trick I used for the trigger guard, and that's doing really good for the angled bits. Tweaking the proportions for accuracy. Oh boy, more bolts! Let me be honest, I have no idea what this part is called. All I know is that it exists, and it's right in front of the player, and it's gotta be there. I'm gonna boolean it, but I'm going to add the vertices I want to edit with first. It's going to carry over in the boolean operation. And here we got those edges while getting the full effect of the boolean. This new part is touching the surface, so I'm gonna connect the vertices together. I feel like the back is done, so I'm gonna work on the barrel. This is also the part where I merge the mirrors together. I wanted to add some cylinders, and I didn't want the mirror modifier to get in the way of the barrels. Pretty simple steps, I'm just following my reference. I'm also reusing some parts. This cylinder is going to be booleaned. And now for the front sight. I'm going to connect the cylinder manually, since this one's easier than booleaning. I'm going to boolean that with another cylinder. And then I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to add a boolean for this part. And a bevel for detail. And more booleans. I'm going to start getting rid of some parts of the mirror to make way for the other side of the gun. Here I'm looking for what parts to reuse. I wanted to be accurate with the detail here, so I did the overlap of the receiver at the sight block. I'm also going to keep following my references for these additions. Can you really believe that some people leave these out? They're actually really cool shapes to work with. It's looking nice so far, but the top is flat. The 8K is not flat for sure. I'm going to use the shrink wrap modifier to add some bumps at the receiver. I'm going to boolean them to attach them to the main mesh. Then I'm going to edit them around just to get their shape right. Got bored, went to cut a hole here. Bridge. Now back to our feature presentation. Booleans. Oh wait, we're still in it. Now to make our mag, I'm going to outline the shape and close it with a face. To work on a mag, it's all just hard surface modeling. I've just decided that I want a flat barrel. I'm going to add bolts all over the gun. It's an extra detail that kind of finishes the surface. They're separate, nearly flat cones. The normals give it a smooth looking top. And can you believe we didn't even make the trigger itself yet? Like, how's the player supposed to shoot this thing? With code? Don't make me slide laughing down to the floor just like I'm supposed to finish up this slide here. I'm going to clean up the extra verts by doing a limited dissolve and then triangulating. I'm going to do my last few checkups to see what details I can add. Maybe a couple bolts here and there. Also gotta add this one little part, not really sure what it's called, but hey. After that, I'm going to auto UV unwrap this and send it to Substance Painter, which I'll paint in. Here I call the modeling done. I'm just checking out the surface normals, seeing if everything's alright, and then we're heading to Substance Painter. It's a modern model painting software that's my go-to. I still keep Photoshop on the side though. The metal surfacing is gonna need some wear and staining. The wood reveals some scratched glossiness. The slide is silver looking, mainly because I liked how it looked in Counter-Strike Source. The parts are all separate because I wanted to bake their ambient occlusion individually. And here I'm just working on the render settings. I like to keep a 2D image of my model, even if I'm supposed to upload it to Sketchfab or something. It makes it more portable. And with all my assets, I can upload there. If you want to see it yourself, the link is in the description. If you want to get inspired with more content, like and subscribe. Thanks for sticking around. Hey, it's Brookston here in Soviet Russia, where the job makes you. Let me know what you thought about the video in the comments below. If you think it'll help others, share it. I think they'll appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.